Welcome viewers to Dollars with Sense. I have with me Ron Cross again. Now he's of course from the ParkTrent organisation, and we're going to be talking about the very exciting subject of land tax. Ron, welcome to Dollars with Sense again.
Great to be back.
Now Ron, taxes, the government love taxes. They just take it from us and spend it everywhere else where they shouldn't be spending it. Allegedly, I have to say that so they don't sue us. Now, what is land tax?
Well, Dallas, I call it the creeping tax.
The creeping tax from a bunch of creeps who just want to take our money and spend it.
Well, you said that, not me.
Well, they can sue me.
You have more money than me, so go ahead.
Now, Ron, what is land tax?
Land tax is a tax that's really, I suppose, in disguise, it's a wealth tax. It's a state tax, it's a revenue from the revenue department of each state, and what they do, they calculate the unimproved capital value of your investment properties, your assets, and they levy you on that.
Now, I've got a question for you. What do you mean by the unimproved value?
This is the land component, and it's based on the Valuer General's valuation of your land holdings in each state. Now, each state and territory in Australia has a different level of commitment. So you say that you'd have your base or your starting point. In Victoria, for instance, your base, which is free, if you have unimproved capital value land holding in investments up to $250,000, you'll pay no land tax. It's quite different. In New South Wales, it's substantially more. The base there is $396. And in Queensland, $599,000. Each state has a different base to work from. Once you go over that, you start paying it on a percentage basis per dollar, a commitment to the internal revenues, the state internal revenue departments. You pay a fee, varying amounts, different states.
So what you're saying is that because all the states have got their own separate tax regimes,
yes,
for land tax, of
That's
course,
right, yes,
that we can play the game of going from one state to the next if we're looking at an investment portfolio?
Well, some of the things that I've experienced, Dallas, in my travels and talking to clients and selling a number of properties over many, many years, is that people say that the taxes they pay are too high. And what I ask them is, well, how many properties do you have? And some of them have 5 or 6 properties. I say, where are they located? And you usually find they're all located in the one state. So therefore, they're being penalised for supporting the economy in that state by buying the 5 properties. So what they should be doing is they should be disposing of 1 or 2 of those properties, taking them under the thresholds, that state threshold, and then reinvesting their money in other investment properties in the other states in Australia, which takes them under the thresholds again, so they can have the same amount of properties and pay no land tax.
So they have the same exposure to the market, but instead of having that exposure in, let's say, Victoria, they have it throughout Australia, and they keep some of their money. It's not that they don't pay the tax because they're already paying tax. It's they pay less land tax because they've decided to go through all the states.
Well, they've decided to utilise the enormous incentive program that we have in this country. You know, we have to pay taxes. That's a certainty. But there's also a lot of programs out there that you can legally minimise your tax, and this is certainly one of them, where you can jump the borders and buy and support those other states. And by doing that, I think it's astute, and I think people need to realise that you don't buy all your properties in Victoria or New South Wales or Queensland or Western Australia. You just buy 1 or 2 here, keep under the thresholds, and over a period of 10 years you'll save an enormous amount of money, because remember, this is a creeping tax. The more properties you own in the one state, the more money you'll pay. So why pay it if you don't have to pay it?
Well, that's true. Why would you want to be paying the taxes? What did Kerry Packer once say? I don't want to pay too much tax because at the moment they're not doing a very good job.
Well, he said if anyone doesn't minimise their taxes, they want their heads read.
Well, that's another one he said. Now, talking about that, so because we're in Melbourne at the moment, I buy my first investment property in Melbourne.
Yes.
And because I like Noosa, I go up to Noosa and I buy an investment property up there, and I can go up and have a look at it every now and again and use it as a tax deduction.
Well, you certainly can use legal and entitlements expenses for your travel up there to visit the property. You can't stay there for 2 weeks and claim that as a deduction. You can certainly go up and spend 1 or 2 days maybe doing some renovations, doing some painting, talking to your agent that's managing it for you. That's what you can claim. You can't go there and spend 2 or 3 weeks. Like, come on, Dallas, behave.
Well, you can only try. Now, I've got a question for you regarding the land taxes compared to a house and land package, for example, to, let's say, a unit where they've got 40 units on one small block of land. How does it work then?
Yes, this is a good point that you bring up. And a lot of people traditionally in Australia, they want to buy house and land packages because they believe the land appreciates, and as you know, the dwelling depreciates.
And what percentage does the dwelling?
Usually the dwelling and the land is usually about a 40-60 split. The land is 40% and the dwelling is 60%. When you come to apartments like the CBD in Melbourne, if you had a $400,000 apartment, the land component would be 25%. So there's a big difference, a big opportunity for people here to understand that if it's an investment property, you depreciate the construction and the building. So on an apartment, there's far higher depreciation on an apartment other than a house and land package because of the 40-25% ratios.
So what you're saying is, even before you start investing into property, that you really need to sit down with somebody and work out what your strategy is going to be.
Well, not so much what your strategy is going to be, it's what strategy you need for you, not what you think. You need to talk to the experts so they can set a strategy that suits your particular set of circumstances. You know, when people say, I want to have 5 properties in 10 or 15 years, how do you get there without affecting your lifestyle today? How do you get there without changing things that they currently are for you? There's plans and programs that we can put in place to help people achieve that.
Ron, what I'd love you to do is put a copy of the land tax down for us, and we can put it on our website, dollarsandcents.tv, and people can have a look at it and we can work it out from there. You happy to do that?
Certainly, I'll do that today for you.
That's great, Ron. Once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
I've just been talking to Ron Cross from ParkTrent. We've been talking about land tax and the types of strategies you can implement to save yourself some tax. And at the end of the day, we don't want to pay too much tax. It's our money and we should be keeping some of it. We'll see you after the break.